Is it time for Erik ten Hag to be sacked as Manchester United manager? That's what we'll be discussing on the show this morning. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's get straight on into it. So, off the back of yesterday's 2-1 defeat to Fulham at Old Trafford, one of the worst performances I've seen under Erik ten Hag's reign, absolute disgrace from every single one of those players on the pitch. I don't think any of them came away with a glimmer of positivity, to be honest. Maybe the only one was Onana. He made a couple of good saves in the first half. But other than that, I think every other player on that pitch should hang their head in shame. It was an absolute disgrace. I'm not going to single out people because I honestly think all of them were a disgrace. I don't think any of them deserve to wear a Manchester United shirt today. And that will actually lead me nicely into my first point on whether I think Erik ten Hag should be removed as the Manchester United manager. I'm going to say it from the off. I don't personally think he should, okay? But what I do want to say is, everybody who watches these videos is entitled to an opinion. If it's different to mine, I'm not going to, shout you down about it. I welcome differing opinions. So please do get in the comment section and get involved in this question, in this debate. Should Erik ten Hag remain as the Manchester United manager? I look forward to reading through all of your messages and seeing what you have to say. Obviously, if you think I'm talking complete rubbish, that's fine. You can, come back with a counter argument. That's the purpose of this channel, to debate and to speak. So my view is no. And the first point that I want to make is that, for me personally, 80% of this squad should not be here anymore, okay? 80%. And that's maybe even being kind. If I'm being completely honest, the only players who should remain post this season, in my opinion, is Rasmus Højlund, Garnacho, Kobe Mainoo, Lissandro Martinez, and I think Diogo Dalot's just slipped into that conversation. I know he was partly at fault for the second Fulham goal. He was very poor defensively, but I think Dalot has improved this season. So he's kind of just slipped his way into that, keep for next season. Everyone else, I honestly would get rid of, genuinely. They've been here for too long. And that brings me into one of my first points that, you look through the spine of this team. Maguire was here from Mourinho. Lindelof, I think, was here from Mourinho. Who else did we have playing yesterday? Varane was here from Ollie. The midfield, Bruno was here from Ollie. Do you see what I mean? Most of these players aren't Erik ten Hag signings. Now, I know people will say, oh, we spent 80 million on Antony, he doesn't know how to sign players. I get that, and I agree with you 100%. I don't think Erik ten Hag should be given a penny more to buy players of his own deciding. It should be 100% decided by an external board of people, whether that's Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, they come together, they buy the players. And if Erik ten Hag doesn't want to agree to that, then get rid of him, 100%. Without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think he should have any responsibility on buying the players anymore. I think he should, have a say, but I think the final decision should be that of Dan Ashworth, the sporting director, we hope, Omar Barada. That's how a proper football club is ran, and that's not how it's been to this point. So yeah, for me personally, I think a lot of the players in this squad don't suit the style of play that Erik ten Hag wants to play, which is a possession-based, high pressing. They can only seem to do it for about 20 minutes. Bruno Fernandes is incapable of retaining the possession for longer than 5 seconds. Rashford shoots every time he gets the ball and doesn't track back. The whole squad doesn't suit what Erik ten Hag wants to do. Now, if Jim Ratcliffe says we want to become a counter-attacking team, we're going to park the bus, then sack Erik ten Hag. Go and bring in Sam Allardyce. Go and bring in Jose Mourinho. I don't know, someone like that. Obviously, I'm kind of joking here, but if that's what Manchester United want to be known for, then go and do that. Get rid of him. Bring in somebody who plays that style of football, because the most of these players in this squad suit, where you sit back. They can't play a high line. Maguire literally can't play a high line. We know that. You had Lindelof at left back. He should never even be at this club. And if you want to be a side that sits back and hits on the counter-attack, then this squad of players is perfect. Absolutely perfect for that. And they would succeed. Erik ten Hag has tried to do something different. He's tried to, he has tried, and you can see that in glimmers, but it just doesn't work. And for anybody who say, we don't have a style of play, we haven't had a style of play for 10 years. The only style of play we've had is counter-attacking. Mourinho counter-attacked. Ollie counter-attacked. Van Gaal, I don't even know what Van Gaal tried to do. Rangnick was just a completely pointless exercise. There was nothing with Rangnick. David Moyes, again, I think was a pointless exercise. But the managers who were here for longer than a year or, a couple of years, all of them were more counter-attacking style managers, and it worked. Mourinho got good. We won the Europa League. We won a couple of other things with him, didn't we? Ollie, he finished second and third. He did well because he parked the bus. He hit on the counter-attack. Bruno Fernandes would play his Hollywood ball every time he gets the ball. And we would score. And that was how we succeeded. So yeah, for me personally, if you want to, play this beautiful style of football that every other team in the world seems to be playing, the Man Cities, the Liverpools, the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, and it's, possession-based, 60, 70% possession, dominating the teams, then 80% of these players don't suit that style of football. That's a fact. That is a fact. I'm sorry. You can't argue that. And I know people will say, oh, well, it's Erik ten Hag's job to turn Maguire into, a fast centre-back. I mean, that's not how the world works. You can't just turn somebody who's slow into a fast player who can sit on the halfway line. You just can't. It doesn't work like that. And that's why I want to keep people like Rasmus, Kobe Mainoo, Garnacho, because I think they're still mouldable. And I think they do still show a lot of promise and a lot of hope. So that's my point one. Obviously, the other bit I just touched on was that we haven't had a style of play for 10 plus years. So for people saying we don't have a style of play, we do have a style of play, and it's park the bus, counter-attacking. It's the same style of play we've done for the last 10 years. And I think that I actually, in some ways, respect Erik ten Hag, maybe not for yesterday's performance, but for the 4 games that we won before that, where he dropped all of his core beliefs, all of his actual philosophy of wanting to play nice football, and said, right, if we want to get top 4, we're going away to Aston Villa. Let's park the bus. Let's hit on the counter-attack. We're playing West Ham. Let's park the bus and hit on the counter-attack. Every single game that we've won, bar obviously the loss yesterday, this calendar year, we've parked the bus and we've won, and it's been successful. That is what this squad is capable of doing. And I think when we lose, it really, really comes into the limelight. People say we don't have a style of play, it's awful. And I agree. When we played Luton, it was awful. Luton should have won. When we played Aston Villa, I think we were pretty awful. They should have won. I agree 150%, with all of these people that are unhappy. And, everyone has differing opinions. I was saying this to my partner earlier. If you're somebody who has a season ticket and you go to every single match home and away and you pay your hard-earned money and, I can understand why you'll be going there saying, get him out, I don't like it, because I understand it's different, isn't it? You're experiencing it in a different way to what I am, but I'm looking at it from an outside perspective here, and I honestly just think that if we sack Erik ten Hag now, we are empowering the players, and this is the point that you need to really, really focus in on and home in on, because this is the most important thing, right? We have backed the players every single time over the last 10 years. The players sacked David Moyes, the players sacked Louis van Gaal, the players sacked Jose Mourinho, the players sacked Ollie. Ragnick was about to become our sporting director, was about to rip open the team. He said we needed to sell most. He said we needed to sell most of the squad, and he said we needed to sign 7 or 10 players last summer. They sacked him. The players got rid of him. They said, they were making what were they calling him? Specs or something? There was rumours coming around that they were all mimicking him because he had glasses in the dressing room. I mean, it's school ground bullying, and it's just disgraceful. And I think that if we let these players win again, I honestly think that it's just going to be the same cycle. We'll be sat back here in 2 years' time having the same conversations, trying to get rid of another manager. And that's my opinion on it. I wanted to quickly as well bring up a couple of things, right? So this here, big ups to United Faithfuls on Twitter, a really good Twitter channel. They posted this out this morning, okay? I'm not trying to make excuses here, but I'm just giving a bit of context. So this is our injury list from games that we've missed players this season. I mean, just have a look at that quickly. Malacia, 35 games. Amad Diallo, 27 games. Mount, 23 games. Martinez, 22 games. Mainoo, 17. Casemiro, 17. Shaw, 16 games. Martial, 12. Wan-Bissaka 10, Lindelof 10, Eriksen 8, Højlund 8, obviously now more games that he's going to miss now. Amrabat 6, Maguire 6, Evans 5, Varane 5. So just there alone, I mean, there's about 15 first-team players that have missed between 5 and 40 games each. I mean, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I think Erik ten Hag has had it really, really difficult this season with injuries, but then at the same time, you could flip that argument and say, well, is he training them too hard? Is it too intense? Who's at fault for these injuries? Because someone is at fault for it. Is it the medical team? That's something that Jim Ratcliffe needs to look at desperately. The other thing I wanted to bring up was this as well. Okay, so this was the Arsenal team for the first game when Arteta became the manager. This was in January 2020, so 4 years ago now. Okay, Arteta's been there for 4 years. Erik ten Hag's been at Man United for coming up to 2 years in the summer. Have a look at that squad there. Of those 11 players, that was Arsenal's best team at that point, right? There's one player in that team who is in the Arsenal team today, and that's Saka. Every other one of those players has been removed. Every other one of those players has been replaced with quality. You compare that to Manchester United's squad that started yesterday. The only players that Erik ten Hag has brought in from the team that started against Fulham yesterday was Obviously, the goalkeeper, Onana, which I think obviously has had question marks about, although I actually think yesterday he performed quite well. And I think, in my opinion, all of our players were terrible, but I'd say he probably was our best player. He made some big saves. They could have easily won by more goals if it wasn't for him. I'm still not saying he was a good signing by any means. I'm just, you've got to give people credit sometimes. But if you have a look at our squad yesterday, right? So the only players that Erik ten Hag has brought in, all of the front four were already there. Casemiro he brought in, but we know he didn't want. He wanted Frankie de Jong. And Onana. Those are the only two players. So the only two signings of Erik ten Hag's were Onana and Casemiro, okay? And then go and compare that with what I've just got up on the screen here of Arteta. So after 4 years, Arteta got rid of most of these in the first 12 months. Ozil went, Aubameyang went, David Luiz went, Socrates went, Leno went. Like, most of those players, of their best players, were gone within 12 months, okay? We're 2 years down the line, and Erik ten Hag's only got two of his players in that team. I know people will say, oh, well, Anthony was on the bench. Okay, so he has one more player on the bench. The rest of the players, McTominay, Diallo, Johnny Evans, Amrabat. Amrabat and Johnny Evans, yes, but they were loan signings. But all of the others were just, already at the club and were here before. That's one thing, okay? And I just honestly believe, guys, that sacking him now would empower the players. I mean, a new manager will come in, and what will happen is this. It happens every single time a new manager comes into a club, okay? The manager will come in and he'll say, I want to assess the players I have. So they'll give them the summer, this transfer window, and they'll probably leave it. So all of these players that we know don't suit a possession-based style of football will be kept. The Maguires, the McTominays, the Brunos, the Rashfords, the Lindelofs, like all of these people will stay. Okay? Obviously, Martial's going to go because his contract's up, but all of these others will stay. I mean, even maybe Sancho comes back. Donny van de Beek might come back. All of these people that should be gone, should be long away from Manchester United, will get a second chance because that's how it works when a new coach comes in. And for Jim Ratcliffe and Omar Barada, they'd be rubbing their hands because they'd be saying, we don't need to buy anybody now. We can bring a new manager in. We can see how it goes. And I'm telling you now, within 2 years, the poor results will come back. We did the same with Ragnick. He exposed the players, and he was literally said in the media that he was going to get rid of most of those players in the summer, and then we sacked him. We got rid of him. Like, it's an absolute disgrace. I'm not going to bother going into all like the win percentages and stuff because Erik ten Hag has the highest win percentage, so there's no point getting out all of these stats. I know that we've had some really poor results this season. The final thing as well is Erik ten Hag's only got 1 year left of his contract. His contract's up a year from now. So this is what my preference is. And again, I invite you to get in the comment section and let me know what your preference is on this situation. Please let me know. I'm not going to, belittle anybody else's opinions. Please do let me know in the comment section, do you want Erik ten Hag to remain at the club? And I'm going to give you my opinion now before I end the video. So Erik ten Hag has 1 year left of his contract. It expires in June 2025, okay? My preference would be give him the summer alongside Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford, etc. Let him clear that squad. He knows better than anybody. The same as Ragnick did last year. He knows better than anybody who are the players that need to go. Ragnick tried to do it. They got rid of him, and look where we are. Give him the summer. Don't let him sign any players. Let Dan Ashworth, let Omar Barada do that. They can sign the players. He can have some involvement, but he doesn't get the final say on any of it, okay? But he does give them literally valuable advice on which players need to go from that squad. You do that. You let the new management team come on board, Dan Ashworth, etc. They'll identify a style of play. That's already been decided. Jim Ratcliffe said that in his first interview, that Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, they'll decide what style of play we want to play, not Erik ten Hag. They then say to Erik ten Hag, this is the style of play I want to see from you this season. Here are the players that we've signed that will suit that style of play. Let's get rid of the players that don't. So I don't know, the Maguires, obviously he doesn't suit a high line because he's slow, as an example. And then tell Erik ten Hag he's got till the end of his contract. He's got the end until June 2025 next season to show us that he can play the style of football that Dan Ashworth, etc. want us to play, whatever that might be. You never know, it might be counter-attacking football, but I'd be very surprised. Give him that 12 months. If it doesn't work, sack him. Sack him next season, 100%. But the key thing is here, right, is that if we were to sack Erik ten Hag now, these players would be empowered. It would be all of these leaks coming out saying that Erik ten Hag's training methods were weird. He was making us stay for 10 minutes longer than the other manager did. Oh, he didn't let us have toast for breakfast. We could only have fruit. It'll be all of these ridiculous stories, and all of the blame will then be shifted over to the manager, opposed to these players who have just continually disappointed, let us down, and been a disgrace at this football club for too many years. But I'm, the key thing is here, right? For me, most of these players should not be here anymore. I'm not going to go through it. Is it beneficial for me to go through a list? I'll do it really quickly before the end of the video, just so you guys can, see where I'm coming from with this, because I think it is quite important. The goalkeepers, I think you'd struggle to get rid of Onana, okay? But I would get rid of him if you could. Lindelof go, Maguire go, Martinez you keep, Malacia, I mean, he's disappeared, so I mean, I don't even count him really. Varane, sell. Dalot, I'd keep. Luke Shaw, injury prone, get rid of. Wan-Bissaka, I think get rid of. Brandon Williams will go. Johnny Evans' contract's up. Alvaro Fernandez is gone. Willy Campoala keep, because obviously he's a youth player that's not really had an opportunity yet. Amrabat, send him back. Mason Mount, no one's going to buy, but I would sell if we could. Bruno Fernandes, I would sell 100%. Eriksen, sell. Ahmad, I'd keep, because I think he deserves an opportunity. Casemiro, get rid of. Pellistri, get rid of. Donny van de Beek, get rid of. Kobe Mainoo, keep. McTominay, get rid of. Dangor, keep. Obviously, he's a young prospect. Hannibal, I think he's had opportunities. He's flopping at Sevilla. Get rid of him. Omari Forson, again, keep. He's a youth. Give him a chance to prove himself or not. Martial, get rid of. Marcus Rashford, get rid of. Højlund, keep. Garnacho, keep. Anthony, get rid of. Sancho, get rid of. Shola Shiratire, again, a youth player, doesn't really count. Mason Greenwood, I think, probably get rid of as well. So, I mean, from that whole squad, there's about 4 players that are first-team players that I would keep. The youth players I've kind of just left as a maybe, because we don't really know too much about them at this stage. So it's a little bit, I can't just sit here and say, get rid of Omari Forson. I mean, if someone offers a few million for him, you'd probably sell him, wouldn't you? But I'm not going to sit here screaming, get rid of him after only playing 45 minutes of professional football. I think that's a little bit unfair, isn't it? But what I will say is this, right? Just to, give a balanced argument. If someone said to me that we could bring in a better manager, which I don't know who, to be honest, and all of these players would go in the summer, obviously we're not going to get rid of all of them, but let's say 50% of the players, just to be realistic, because that is realistic. Martial's going to go, Maguire could go, McTominay, etc. 50% of those kind of first-team players were to be sold with a new manager. Then maybe I would see differently. But I'm just so convinced that if we get rid of Erik ten Hag, it will re-empower these players again. We'll have all of these leaks, as I just said, coming out saying that it was Erik's fault. Oh, he made us train for an extra hour a day. And it will be, let's bring in a new manager. Let's see how it goes. Let's give all these players another chance. And I don't want that. That's the last thing I want. So for me personally, I've given you my opinion. Obviously, it's I'll openly admit that the style of play doesn't exist. The football is not entertaining to watch Manchester United. I felt like that last season, though, too. Yes, we got third. Yes, we won a trophy, but the football wasn't entertaining. Anybody who says it was, it wasn't. It wasn't good last year either. And I think that it's very easy for people to come out of the woodwork when we lose a game and say, get rid of him, get rid of him. But when I know, at the end of the day, winning's the most important thing. But last season, the football was poor as well. It's been poor this season. And I think that, as I said, there's only 2 players in that starting 11 who were his signings, and I think it's very easy to see a line that matches all of these different managers together. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Would you sack Erik ten Hag? Do you think I've been talking complete rubbish? If you do, that's completely fine. Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.